Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
You probably didn't come here to listen to Google product discussion, but in another Apple Slice First, I want to give my Apple-loving perspective on Google's new products versus an Android user's perspective. You got to risk it to get the biscuit. Now, unfortunately, Nick couldn't make it, so this is going to be a one-on-one battle with Apple versus Google. So, repping the Google team is a local tech enthusiast who prefers Android software, but also likes Apple hardware. Everyone, meet Jared. How's it going, man?
Good, yourself?
Yeah, pretty cool. This is the first time I've actually shared a mic with someone. He's standing right next to me, and if we both sound a little bit nervous, that's probably the reason why. But what I was going to do is that Jared actually designs jewelry by day, but I failed to come up with a custom intro that had a nice ring to it. There you go, trying out puns in person. But before we get into it, I'd like to let everyone know that approximately 1 hour ago, my AirPods saved my iPhone. So what's this all about? Well, basically, I was going for my normal walk around the block with the dog and walking around some trees along the main road, and we were unexpectedly swooped by a magpie. Now, of course, I ducked and I ran, and another one had swooped us, and I kept running. And then I noticed that the audio I was listening to via my AirPods cut out. And I was like, what the hell's going on? Touched my pocket, phone wasn't there. Mm-hmm. So I had surpassed the proximity of it. And so I, basically was frantically head back into the danger zone. Where a magpie proceeded to swoop me again. I found the phone right on the side of the footpath. As I showed Jared just before we started recording this, I've kept it in perfect condition for over 2 years and now has 2 scratches on the side, but the screen is okay. Everything is functioning fine. So unfortunately, due to the magpie incident, my phone is no longer perfect, but I will be upgrading very soon, as everyone would realize. So we're going to get straight into it, talking about the Made by Google event. So Nick and I are Apple fans through and through, which is the reason that we made the podcast, but we agree that overall that Google's own products are our favorite of the Android offerings by far. Their branding and some of their hardware design choices are very Apple-esque, even down to the website. It's clean, minimal, and elegant. So this is going to be my take on the Google event from my Apple fan perspective. We're not going to try and, rip into each other too much. No. But yeah, and Jared's going to give it his Android fan's perspective, but even more so, not just from a general Android user, he seems to be quite taken with the Google products. So now, Jared, you're not a stranger to Google branded products, obviously. So can you give us a quick Google specific rundown of how you first got into their products, what you've owned or currently own, and if you're interested in getting anything from the event?
My first smartphone was actually an iPhone. It was the iPhone 3GS. And from there, I took it to work, and the guy at work has an Android phone and obviously ragging on my iPhone every day. And I decided to try Android, and he convinced me that the only way to go if you're going Android is with the Google product. So it's nice and clean, the proper version of Google without any skins.
Not bloatware and all that.
Yeah, and especially
crap.
back in the day, like Samsung's was a lot worse than it is now.
Yeah.
So my first Android phone was the Samsung Galaxy Nexus.
Yes.
I don't know how many Nexuses there were before that. I think there was maybe 2 before that, 2 by HTC.
Wait, the Samsung Galaxy Nexus?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you heard of that or no?
I'm getting confused. So
I think this was about the time when like Samsung S2s were coming out about then.
Okay.
And there was a Galaxy Nexus.
Okay.
It was very expensive and had to like import it from Moby City or something like that.
Okay.
And then my next, I upgrade a lot. So
yeah.
my next one was Nexus 5. So there was Galaxy Nexus, then there was the 4, which I skipped, which was made by LG.
Yeah, so this is the weird thing is it's like it's got the Nexus brand, which is Google,
Yes,
but the
yes.
supply
And
the
Samsung,
manufacturer changes.
Samsung, I think, were like the last one that was allowed to call it like a Galaxy Nexus.
Right.
So then it was the 4, and it was LG. It still had LG branding, but it was the Nexus 4.
Yeah, okay.
And I skipped that one, and then I got the Nexus 5, which was also made by LG.
Yeah.
And then I got the Nexus 6, which is I'm using right now for the time being until my Pixel 2 gets here.
Spoiler alert.
So that's my backup phone that I use for a month every year when I sell the phone and wait for the next model to come out.
So what made you not want to jump into the Pixel prior to these? Like you've got...
Oh, I had a Pixel.
You had a Pixel.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, sorry, I'll get
yeah,
there.
Yeah.
So I had Nexus 6, and then then they did Nexus 6P, which was made
Yes.
by Huawei.
Huawei, yes.
And at the same
Or
time...
Hawaii, as a lot of people call them.
Yes. At the same time, they did like a follow-up to the 5, which was 5X, released at the same time as the 6P.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I went 6P, bigger version.
I think that was the one that had like the big, like any phones come out and it had like the big, its own little Ben Gate sort of thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I tagged you in and I was like,
I was really
"Watch
stressed
out."
out.
I was like, watch out, man. It's like anything, unless it was an actual, Note 7 that exploded in your face.
that was bad.
Yeah, that was bad. Then generally, like the bending things weren't too much of a real use case issue.
Don't bend
your phone.
Yes. Don't put it in your back pocket.
But at the end of the episode, we'll be discussing bendable phones. But anyway.
Okay. So I had the 6P, and then I got the Google Pixel XL last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I've sold that like a month before this announcement, just being...
Because you knew it was coming?
Yeah.
Yep.
You got to risk it a little bit.
You got to risk it.
You don't know what you're getting, but
Yeah.
there's enough rumors out there to get a rough idea of what you're getting.
I did the exact same thing with MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
Sold MacBook Pro before.
We can get a little bit more money if you sell it before the announcement of the
definitely.
next one.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a lot of money for the one just gone. I was
Cool.
happy with.
And so before we sort of proceed with that, have you always been into... So you said you got the Pixel XL. Are you just sold on like the larger screen phones?
Well, no, and I wanted to move down back to a smaller screen phone, but with this new Pixel 2 and XL, I mean, like the design
There's a design
which-
difference, yeah.
And that really annoys me because, like, they should just be the exact same phone, but a smaller version and a bigger version. Same specs, like a little bit different PPI on the screen, obviously.
Yeah.
But they should be the same. Then that really bugs me because I probably would have bought the smaller one.
Yeah, yeah.
But with those front bezels, it's not happening.
Bezels for days.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of given a bit away of what you're considering purchasing, what you're lining up to purchase. But okay, so what we are actually going to be talking about from the announcements is the Google Home lineup, the Pixel 2 models, and the Pixel Buds. So we're skipping Daydream, skipping the Clips camera. And I did want to talk about Pixel Book, but we'll skip that. I just want to say it looks very Google. It ties in with everything else, but has a suspiciously large trackpad, MacBook Pro style. I'm just saying.
You think they copied some design?
Design cues. But anyway.
It's not going to be available here anyway, so I wouldn't be too worried.
It's all good. But we're going to get right into it with the Google Home lineup. So both Nick and I are definitely sold on getting Apple's home speaker contender HomePod. Now, yourself and Nick have the Google Home.
Yep.
I will admit I do like the design of it.
Yeah.
I
like a
always...
diffuser.
Oh, no, but I just like the different color options.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
So actually, before we did, which one did you go with?
Just the standard, like grey.
The grey.
Grey. That
So you didn't want to...
I think you have to buy extra ones.
Extra, yeah.
I don't think you can buy...
Because you just swap out the colour, don't you?
But it just all of them come with the grey.
Yeah.
There's no choice, and then you have to buy an additional base, which I'm not that worried about the colour of the base to spend more money on the base.
Yeah, I just like the bronzy sort of colour one, copper one. That's cool.
I guess at least you got different choices to match your decor of your house. So.
That's true. Okay, and so new additions to this lineup is the Google Home Mini, which is their answer to Amazon's Echo Dot with similar sort of size and functionality. $79 Australian, so that's actually, I'm pretty sure that is equal pricing to the Echo Dot. And they also have the Google Home Max, which to me is their answer to Apple's HomePod because there's a big focus on sound quality, and the price is actually really surprisingly it's $399 US compared to $349 US for HomePod, so it's actually more expensive.
Yeah.
And I always just thought that Google would sort of try and undercut them on price at every level.
They're not trying to do that as much anymore.
Oh, like, but like
yeah,
by a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, did you see the adapters with the Pixel
Yeah, they
phones?
dropped they dropped
them to the exact same price as Apple's.
Yeah, under pressure. Okay, so out of the Mini and the Max, what do you think of the design of these?
I like the design of both.
Mm-hmm.
The Max, like for that price, like I'd really need to see it and hear how good it is. But like if it's as good as they're trying to show it to be, then...
And that's the hard thing with any of this stuff is
well, it's the speaker. You don't know until you hear it.
Yeah, and you know, like when they did HomePod at WWDC, they had a sort of control kind of like environment and a room that people of the press were privy to, but they couldn't exactly play it on stage. You just had to just sort of take their word for it in the animations in the video. And presentation wise, this Google event was actually very similar to the two last Apple events in that way, even in like the break apart way of how they showed the Google Home Max, and how the sound technology works. I was just like,
with a weird video from Diplo. Is that the promo video?
I'll talk about more when they were explaining it. I haven't seen that. I sort of like I've watched the sort of condensed version of the event. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I watched it at like 1:00 in the morning. So
okay, so you did the live stream, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that was me for the past.
Well, because normally they let you pre-order the phone as soon as the event's going on. So that was my motivation for getting up.
Yeah.
But they didn't. I kept clicking refresh and it's like, join the wait list. I was like, well, 2 hours of sleep before work. We didn't even get to buy it.
I ended up taking the day off for the iPhone event.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that worked out. Not that I got to catch up on any sleep. I had 45 minutes sleep, I think, total that day. But it was cool. Cool experience.
The things you do for your tech.
Oh, definitely. Design-wise, I think it seems to be more of a push towards the Sonos.
Yeah, I think it's trying to compete
stuff
with like the Sonos like Play 3 kind of design.
Yeah, because then of course there's a new Sonos just announced,
which kind of didn't really get much pump in the press. Because Google
overshadowed it. Yeah, they had so much to put on the table. Okay, and then so you mentioned about wanting to get one of the Pixel 2 XL.
Yeah.
And they throw a Mini in with that, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
So what are your... So that's cool because you can add it to your current Google Home lineup. So what's your actual kind of experience with the Google Home? How's it been going for you?
It's good. I have it in the kitchen. So like for timers while you're cooking, I do all the cooking. So that's really handy. And adding things to the grocery list, and Woolworths just updated their app, so like there's more apps integrating with it.
Yeah.
Like Woolworths, I do all my shopping through Woolworths online.
Okay.
So now you say, okay, Google, talk to Woolworths, and then you say add this to the list.
I see
adds it, and then like it's right there on your list.
I see that was a big push, at least on the website for these current new products, is they're saying we speak Australian. They got the slang like servo and just saying Woolworths and
you
stuff.
can say Woolies. But it didn't work for me. But apparently you can.
Yeah, I think any of these things, it's usually with speaking to a virtual assistant, the in real life never quite meets the demos or how you think it's going to go.
Yeah.
I think they're progressing to that stage. Like it's definitely getting better.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even usable like 3 years ago. It was pretty average.
Now, did you hear about the Mini's always recording fault?
I did hear that. I think they fixed it pretty quickly though.
They fixed it because it wasn't anything to do with the software. It was to do with the button, the actual physical button on top of it was faulty, and so it was almost like it was stuck in,
down.
and so it was like it was permanently being pressed, and so it was always recording, and so they ended up just having to via software disable that feature.
Yeah.
So the button is kind of useless
Oh, really?
for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can't do it because they've just completely shut it off.
Well, that's not very good.
Yeah.
is it? Hopefully they fix that
Yeah.
before my model comes in the mail.
Yes. Now the funny thing is, I can't find the Max online.
The speaker.
The Google Home Max.
Yeah.
Like you've gone to their website, it's just not there.
I thought.
Like not
I
even the
saw it.
preview page.
Not in the US store.
Oh, most like US store, but it
Yeah.
keeps wanting to revert me to the Australian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't like right click and go open a new window. You have to click on it.
Yeah.
I've noticed that because I was loading up the US store, looking
Yeah.
at all these cases and accessories that we can't get here. I was going right click, like open a new link, open a new link. And then I looked at all the new links and it's just the home Australia page, just nothing.
Yeah, and I just thought surely from people want to find out information, they could have just still had the preview page for it.
Yeah. Well, maybe that signals their intentions that it's never coming to Australia.
Yes, which was a thing at the start. I know Nick was really keen on Google Home just because he's sort of more of the early adopter out of us too. So he wanted to, even though he's very much in the Apple
so
ecosystem,
how come he goes with Google Home when he's full in on Apple?
because there is no Apple
Yeah,
smart speaker at the
okay.
time, you
Yeah.
know.
So if the home.
So like he's not going to buy a Google phone because there's always Apple phones.
Yep.
But he had a Pebble before there was an Apple Watch.
Okay.
So that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so he got the Google Home. He actually imported it from
Yeah,
America.
something
and
else.
then it got available in Australia. But
Because he was trying to sell his, and I was almost going to tell you I'd buy it, and then like 2 weeks later they announced the Australian release.
yeah, so he's still planning on doing that, but I guess what he's going to get for it is going to be far less.
Yeah,
But,
now.
yeah, so that was just interesting because obviously I'm not, checking out Google's site. Well, hardly ever. It's only when there's new stuff to check out. But yeah, my main thing I've noticed was just the actual design and the kind of like the way that they market it is they definitely are a direct push to be like, we are an Apple competitor sort of thing. But I guess the general consensus is marketing wise, yes, but what they'll sell from it is obviously going to like be far smaller in comparison, just because like Apple is built like over sort of like Google really pushing their own hardware line, and you can feel where they're aiming for. Yeah.
Like last year when I bought the Pixel XL, my wife, we got her the 7 Plus. I think they were both 128 gig, and I think like I noticed on my credit card, I was like, I think they were both like $14.19. Both the two phones I bought were the exact same price for the 128. I was like, Google's trying so hard to be like Apple. And
but I mean, what I've seen so far, generally, I like the look of like what they're doing with the hardware and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just, if I were even wanting to approach or put my get into the Android space, I'd want like the cleanest like version of it, and Google's own hardware with like clean
software
Android
is as good as you can get.
Yeah, I don't want it to be stuff full of various.
That's one of the things that I hate trying to explain to people that aren't they're like, I've used like a Samsung, and they think that that's Google, but it is in a way, but it's not.
Google with a mask on.
Yeah, and like just the fragmentation, like Google is made for a back, a home, and a multitask button.
Yep.
And then Samsung will like put the back button on the wrong side or have a physical button.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's not clean.
I mean, despite so many people raving about the S8's design and stuff, I appreciate how futuristic it looks and that, but holding one in real life, this is a bit of a sidetrack just because we're both kind of like essentially sort of ripping on Samsung at this point. It's just the side buttons are so skinny that they're almost sharp.
Yeah.
And then even stuff like the screws at the bottom of the phone don't align properly. And it's just like stuff like at first glance, you're like, oh, this looks cool, but you kind of like get a bit closer and you're like, oh, this actually feels a bit shitty, so
to be charging as much as they charge.
Yeah, so that kind of frustrates me in the sense that so many, tech reviews going on about how the S8 is like the pinnacle of design, and I'm just like, there's so much beyond that.
Is it still glass? Is it still plastic on the back, or is it glass?
No, it's glass.
Yeah.
It's glass, but it felt plasticky.
Yeah, they
That's what I
don't
didn't
look
like.
premium. Like,
It's
if I'm
like,
spending that much on a phone, I want like metal or nice glass and like real clean design, not tacky plastic buttons.
and that's what I would like to actually, when you get yours, hold
Feel
one
it.
in real life, because some are visually online, some of the pictures of the white, it looks like it's plastic.
Yeah,
But I know it's not.
they've said there's some coating on it, and like all the videos I've seen, people say even though it is aluminium, not aluminum, aluminium,
Yeah.
the coating makes it feel like kind of polycarbonate plasticky,
Okay.
and it's really light.
But to be grippy.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
what
yeah. Kind of like how the jet black iPhone 7 is grippy because it's glossy,
Yeah.
sort of thing. But side note, that's why I'm going with the silver, which is essentially more of like a white backed for the iPhone 10, because I don't want the fingerprints to show up all over it.
Well, do you use a case or not?
Well, up until I got Magpie swooped and dropped no, but I've always used dbrand skins.
Oh, okay.
And I think I went to go replace it after having a 6-pack, and I didn't really do a very good job because they give you like a few options of the skin. And I was like, no, I'm near the end of my 24 months. I'm going to go completely,
Naked.
as is. And it's been fine up until today, which wasn't even that tragic. But
No, it's still
still
for like a 3-year-old phone.
yeah,
it's pretty.
so it's still. Anyway, that's a bit of a sidetrack there. So I want to talk about the weight for HomePod for us Apple fans, and then some comparisons. So, for HomePod at the moment, all we have is a US price, a December shipping date, which includes Australia, some specs, how the sound technology works, and we're all expecting more details, particularly regarding Siri. So, sound-wise, between this and the Home Max, they both boast spatial awareness, so they auto-adjust based on their position in the room. Now, Google Home Max has two 4.5-inch woofers, two tweeters, and more of a focus on bass. Now, given its design, it's more forward-facing, so it's kind of only has a real 180-degree at max, But it does come with 12 months of YouTube Music included, which is they sort of doing this thing where they're like, throw in a mini, throw in some.
I've got so many 6 months, but they don't let you use it because it's only to new customers.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that clause applies? Or
I'd have about 4 years banking up of Google Red.
yeah, okay.
They don't let me have it.
Oh, damn. Whereas Apple's HomePod has 7 tweeters, one 4-inch subwoofer, but has a big focus on 360-degree sound, given its design, and the whole purpose of it being that it, you close your eyes and it sounds like it's more than one speaker. It fills the room, sort of thing, or rock the house, as they said. Mm-hmm. No mention of any free Apple Music with it yet. So, taking all that into account, would you want to upgrade to the Max, or do you think you'd really have to hear it to believe it?
I don't think I would.
What do you think of the sound listening? Do you listen to music through your current Google Home?
Only when I'm like cooking or having breakfast. Not seriously sit there for an hour and listen to.
Yeah.
I might cast like a podcast for 20 minutes or something. But if I'm going to listen to music, it'd probably be through headphones, or we've got Sonos in the lounge.
Okay, so you're already kind of covered in that space.
But like if the Max was out before I'd already invested into Sonos, it might have been something that I would consider. But I think I've spent enough money on Sonos.
Okay, so a bit of full disclosure. Your wife is actually very much a big Apple fan. So you've kind of like...
Yeah, I tried to like lure her over to Android. And I think she had the like Note 2 and Nexus 6 is the one that I like convinced her to get. And it was like really buggy, and the phone was really a bit of a... Yeah, and like it's really soured her, and I'm like, no, but that's a bad...
Right,
yeah. Right. So now she's back in the Apple, and we actually just bought her the Series 3 watch last night.
Yeah, that's cool. Nick would be happy to hear that.
And she's got the new iPad Pro
The 12.9, yeah. And I've
Yeah.
got the 10.5. But I was very jealous because you'd ordered that straight away.
Yeah.
So I got the 10.5 a little bit later. Sounding awesome. And so I was going to ask Nick about his wishes for HomePod because he very much would like to see a mini version. I think that would be a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
I think they could, rather than lining up with Google Home Mini or, I guess they got Echo Dot, they should do a throwback to the iPod days and call it the HomePod Nano.
Nice.
Could do.
Branding.
But he's also really tempted by the new Sonos they just announced.
Yeah.
He's currently got a Sonos. He's got a Google Home. He sounds like he's getting very impatient with waiting for HomePod.
Yeah.
That he just wants to
So when's HomePod coming?
December.
December.
Yeah, shipping in December. So
Still a little while.
I'm still waiting for an event, which is the next thing I want to talk about. Is I'm waiting for a surprise event announcement. So what happened last year? They had the iPhone event, and everyone's like, "Oh, when's this supposed MacBook Pro with a touch bar coming?" And then that was, it was getting later and later, and then basically invites came out just after everyone had written off a potential MacBook Pro event, and then it happened, late October. So I feel like we're getting where we are now. It's too late for an October event, but I'm just going to call it November 1st. They'll put an invite out. November 14th, the event will happen.
Big call.
For a HomePod, and they don't overly relate to each other, but a HomePod with a big focus on Siri and iMac Pro event.
Yeah.
So they previewed iMac Pro, said it's coming in December. Previewed HomePod, said it's coming in December. So it's like people want to know more information.
Yeah.
So there you go. But we're going to move on to Pixel Buds. So these are pitched as an AirPods competitor, but physically they're more like the Beats X. So they're kind of tethered together.
Yeah.
So Beats X look quite similar. They don't have like a weird
The
rope thing.
I don't get that.
But they're connected by a cord. Yeah. Okay. Price-wise, Pixel Buds are $249, AirPods are $229. So there's the other surprise with the price sitting above Apple's product, and the Beats X are $199. So the primary difference between, we're going to look at Pixel Buds and AirPods, is Google Translate. And so neither of these are platform exclusive. You can use your Pixel Buds on an iPhone, you can use your AirPods with an Android phone, but you'll lose things like you won't be able to do Translate if you use it with iPhone, and you wouldn't be able to have the auto, the advantages of like the W1 chip and the auto pairing and stuff if you use AirPods with an Android phone.
And I think the Translate might actually be even like exclusive to
Pixel
phone as well.
Yeah, it is.
Which is very...
So it's a real push to buy within there. They're doing the Apple thing, the ecosystem, pushing the advantage of the ecosystem. I like it. I'm used to it. It's all I've known.
You're used to Apple serving it and this is what you get.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm not mad at that. I only ever get disgruntled at Apple with accessory prices.
Yeah.
Because they're always higher than I'd want them to be.
Cases and watch strap.
Pixel Buds versus AirPods, they both have their own charging case.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing is that the buds look difficult to pack away because you kind of got to curl the rope cord around it.
I didn't pay attention to that. I just
saw the picture and I was just like, this is because AirPods, there is no cord, they slot straight in.
Yeah.
And they kind of like magnetically
that's
go.
True.
Tink.
Yeah. Every headphones, Bluetooth headphones and earphones and headphones, every headphone, they'd make the case too small. Like everything. I've got like 3 different pairs of Beats and you can't fit them back into the case. The only thing that fits good is my Bose Quiet Comfort 35s. But
see, that's what we love about AirPods is they slot straight in, but they actually feel like because they kind of go stick, and then like the lid snaps shut, So they are both gone equal, like in terms of the performance for the charging. So you get 5 hours per charge. We put it in the case, and the case can provide 24 hours of charging overall before you have to recharge the case. Yeah. So literally, it's just going like neck and neck.
Just which ecosystem are you in? Maybe.
Pretty much. Now, design-wise, to me, even with the AirPods stem, so they look like as you cut the cord off. I think the Pixel Buds are more visually present because they look quite large big and coloured. Yeah. I mean, I know the AirPods are white, but because they're the same size, I think to most people, if they're quickly looking, they probably think I'm just wearing AirPods.
Yeah.
Some people like Taya's nan, I came home.
Where's
She's
the cord?
no, she didn't say that. She said she's like, oh, what do you got earplugs in for? I'm not. And then I think someone said, oh, it looks like you're wearing earrings or something. Anyway,
Yeah.
but so there you go. So to me, I like, from the Apple perspective, I like the fact that it's a bit more subtle, even
Yeah.
though they're white.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that though with Pixel Buds that the color options to match the actual Pixel 2s.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
They're getting like, they're not just, their colors, like they're a little bit different. They're not just, black, white, blue. They're like doing different shades. Even with the Pixel
kind of blue.
phones. Yeah, they're kind of blue, but like the little
just
accent green button.
Yes,
and the red button. Like that's not my thing, but
I like it. To me, stuff like that is that's like your bold design choice. Like the Watch Series 3 Cellular, the crown has got a red top.
I don't like that.
and a lot of people don't like it, but that's like one of those things that it's so divisive. And the same with the Pixel 2s, everyone's like, oh, I don't want a color thing, or people are like, I love that.
Yeah.
It's same thing with Watch 3. So,
but the watch is like it's supposed to be a nice look, like it's there to be an accessory.
Yeah.
And when it's so nice looking, and then you put the little red thing on there, to me that just ruins.
I think if you get the ceramic white with the red, I think that looks good.
Yeah.
But as soon as you introduce another different color band other than red, or a watch face that doesn't have red on it, then it becomes a bit. But Nick himself has said that when he's wearing it, you don't even notice it just because it is on the side. So
it doesn't take long to get over.
Yeah, but anyway, that one was something to get used to. So
the thing with the Pixel Buds that I do like I've used a lot of different headphones. I listen to probably like 7 hours of podcasts at work every day.
Yeah.
And I go through headphones, the cords, the rubber just like break. Like eventually it'll just start pausing on you and things like that. Like the Pixel Buds have that nylon-y cord.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's really good because it doesn't grip, or not that I've used it, talking like I own them, but it doesn't grip to your neck.
Yeah.
Like I have Power Beats, and they keep yanking because they stick to your neck.
It's more in the mindset of people that would want to be exercising and stuff as well.
Yeah.
I
don't know how it would go soaking up the sweat, but
well, they've got the watch has got nylon bands.
Yeah.
And that's the same type of thing. It's like you go swimming with it and then it'll dry itself out sort of thing. So but where now I've got my Nike on, which has got like the holes in it. And so I go for a walk and I'm not running, but I'm still going uphill and stuff. And I found this has been better than just the one I had before, which was like
doesn't breathe.
all filled out. It was still, pretty fine, but this is better.
Yeah.
So, it's. I get the reason for the material there, but what do you think of how the whole mechanism with the loop sitting in your ear? I
don't really understand how it's gonna what stops it from just falling down, just because you just shove it through. What stops it from just there's no lock mechanism, is there?
When I first saw it, I originally thought that you were just wrapping it around
your whole ear. Yeah.
I was like, what if someone yanks it? You're just like...
I don't know. And I don't think they're in-ear. They kind of sit out of it. I don't think they're real in-ear ones, are they?
No,
the actual earphone as well.
Yeah. The actual piece is it sits in your ear, and then that bit you see...
shoves up.
Yeah, no, that bit you see...
Yeah.
The big... That's sitting outside your ear, but there's an earbud sitting in your ear.
So it goes right in.
Yeah.
I thought I saw something where they weren't in ear, the ones that go real deep in your ear.
It goes in. It goes in your ear about as much as earpods.
So I like the ones that go right in your ear.
Oh, okay. So that's what you're talking about. Yeah, you're talking about the actual ones that are called in ear.
Yeah.
Okay, so this isn't like this. This kind of actually looks like the bit that sits in your ear looks like a black or whatever color it's in. Version of your earpods.
Yeah.
And then it's got the bulbous bit on the outside, and then you got this
bit of
ropey clothy loop sitting in your ear. So
yeah,
I know they make it look effortless. I'm trying not to be too judgmental because so many people are saying when AirPods are shown, they're going to fall out your ears. I've never had them fall out my ears.
And everyone's different though.
Yeah.
I had a pair of Jabra Bluetooth.
Yes.
And I can't even get them to sit in my ear at all.
Yeah. Okay. So in saying that, their flagship feature, as I said, is Google Translate, and they have volume adjust. by swiping back and forth, which I think is cool. I would want that for AirPods, but the reason they can pull that off better with Pixel Buds is the larger surface area. Because I think as soon as you start rubbing up and down on your AirPods, you might knock them out.
Yeah.
Now, the AirPods flagship feature is they have the W1 chip, so there's one-off iCloud pairing. So you pair them once with your device, and you don't actually have to do the manual pairing with any of your other stuff. And then the auto in-ear detection. So I put them in, and then they pair, and when you're playing, you pull them out, pause, put them in, play. And Pixel Buds doesn't have that, and I thought they would.
Yeah.
So they've got the volume adjust, which is handy. Apple have the, someone's talking to you,
And
pause, put it back in and play.
They said they've got the auto pairing, I think, with Pixel phones, similar to Apple. Didn't actually show it, just like, it'll do it, like, kind of just throw that in.
I think the, it is interesting. You've kind of got they're essentially overall, they're sort of equal, but some have, one feature and some don't have the other feature sort of thing. So I think Apple probably will eventually push for something translate-wise, because they could be able to do it, but because Google Translate has been a dedicated app for so long, it's kind of like built that foundation.
Yeah.
So there you go. Are you going to get a pair?
I think I was pretty sure that I was going to get some, but now I'm not sure about the whole fitting in the ear. I think I might just wait to see how we go, like how people recommend them fitting in the ear. Like
this rope keeps falling out my ear.
Yeah, because I've had trouble with the earbuds before.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, they try and make, both of these companies, they do a lot of research of like scanning inside ears, and then they're trying to get this all-rounder shape, but it's just not going to apply to everyone. Yeah. That's
where like the Beats over hook, because you can't like go over the ear hooks.
Yeah.
Like they may look a bit dorky, but like they
hearing
never
aids or
fall
something.
out.
Yeah. That is true. Okay, so moving on to the big ones, Pixel 2 and Pixel 2 XL. Now you've already said that you're lining up to get the 2 XL. So I wanted to discuss the design quickly. Now there is difference between the 2 and 2 XL, as you pointed out. The 2 has what is now considered large bezels, very similarly sized to the iPhone 8, which is obviously that design has existed for a few models now. But I think the Pixel 2 ones look a bit larger because there is no home button there to fill the space. And that's what I found weird about the Pixel before, is that bottom area was, like with this one, they've got these dual speakers and it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But with the one before, it was a bit like, that looks a lot like an iPhone, but there's no button there. So I always found that one a bit weird. But the 2XL, I like the design of. It's got what I guess would be medium-sized top and bottom bezels, and it has skinny side bezels. So it's like larger than, it's not like to the edge, to the window, to the wall, like S8 and the iPhone 10. It's like it's micro bezel, so it's very. So this is closer to say even like your iPhone or whatever.
Yeah.
But taking all that into account, I still think it easily looks better than an S8 to me.
Yeah.
The Pixel 2 XL. Yeah.
Just design wise, like just the materials even.
Yeah.
And
And so, obviously with this bezel-less trend, do you think either of them look outdated? Like I can say that the iPhone 8 design does look tired in comparison because we've seen it for so long.
Yeah.
And you say, the Pixel 2, there is that frustration with the fact that the bezels are so large at the top and bottom. But there are tech reviewers and stuff saying they think the 2XL looks outdated because of and I don't agree.
No. See, I haven't actually used like the edge-to-edge note and stuff, but to me that, like, it just looks
it's more of a hindrance.
It looks like it could be touching buttons when you don't mean to. And I think there's like, you get like a little bit of blurring effect when the screens roll around the edges too much.
Goes too much, and that's why they abandoned with the Note. They abandoned that edge, because it was just more of it was gimmicky, and then it didn't pay off.
I like functionality in phones, and like the edge to edge is nice to look at, but it's not like those bezels are not that big that would concern me. You're looking at the screen, you're not sitting there looking at the bezels the whole time.
I think the funny thing is we've been, like Nick and I have been discussing this lead up to what is now the iPhone 10, and a lot of the tech podcasts I listen to, all they've been talking about in the past year is just bezels. Like that's just like the word, even before people knew what it was, you know. And so it's almost like the bezel police come out if there's even like a slight little thing. It's like, that is a terrible design. I'm like, I'd rather not be triggering stuff on your screen. And so to me, I think the 2XL looks nice.
Yeah, but the bezels are a bit big. Like,
yeah, well, it's like the materials they chose for the 8, I reckon, are fantastic. Like the color options look great, but I still had secretly hoped they would have been able to reduce them. But at the same time, I'm like, well, the Touch ID button is sized accordingly, and they'd have to have a smaller button to reduce the size of it. And, you know, Apple wouldn't have like a small one at the top and a fat one at the bottom.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, okay. Both 2 and 2XL have a metal back with a top 5th in glass.
A little bit smaller than last year.
Yeah. So similar to previous Pixel. Both have the fingerprint sensor on the back. They say it's the fastest ever, which I think is funny just because I remember when the second version of Touch ID came out and everyone was complaining it was too fast.
How can it be too fast?
No, as in like you would just go to like one turn your phone and it unlocked. Yeah. And it still happens to me now. I'm like, oh, it is. And so when you have people complaining it's too fast and then now everyone's aiming to still have the fastest, it's like, do you know what I mean?
We just want it perfect.
Yeah,
right?
we just see exactly. So, what's your take on rear fingerprint sensors?
Well,
like you'd be used.
That's all
Yeah.
I've ever used.
Yeah.
So, like, it does. Every time I get my phone out of my pocket, like it's right there. Like this one has one.
Yeah.
It's in the perfect spot. Like
Another S8 Fault.
what's the S8 got
On the fingerprint sensor right next to the camera.
Oh wow, that's not good.
And it's like a
so
skinny
you can
rectangle.
just put greasy fingerprints.
Yeah,
on the camera
you're
all
more
day when
likely
you're
to touch your camera, and the fingerprint sensor is there.
Yeah, so I haven't really. The only ones I've used is like the 6P, the Pixel 1 XL. I think that's it. Yeah. So and they've both just like every time I get it out of my pocket, my finger just goes like it's just there naturally.
Yeah, and it's all muscle memory. Like for me, I pick up my phone and I'm just like my thumb's already there.
Yeah.
And so that's gonna be a interesting thing for me with Face ID and stuff is that won't be there sort of thing.
Yeah.
So now I think the reason that there were rumors of there being a rear fingerprint sensor for what is now the iPhone 10 is because the real push behind the scenes supposedly was they were really trying to get an under screen fingerprint sensor.
That'd be awesome.
To them, it's like if it's not as good as the current Touch ID, there's no point in doing it. And so they were, to me, it's like they were working on that and the best version of like face unlocking. And so they've essentially, to me, come to the point where it's just like this under screen sensor is just not going to pay off. They may still be working on it, but it's like they're putting all their eggs into the Face ID stuff.
Yeah.
Because like for me, it's like iPhone uses, it's always been a button on the front. And so everyone was worried that by putting it on the back, it's just like, oh, it's becoming Android sort of thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, you'd be copying Google.
Yeah, because it's iconically
an
iPhone, you know. So
I think like the one on the back though is perfect for the iPhone X because then you can have the whole screen. Like not everyone wants to use Face ID.
Well, that's going to be the real test, isn't it? Like to see how it's adopted, because I think that people will still think that it's like my phone is taking a picture of my face, but they're not. They're taking like the mapping of your face. It's not actually even taking a picture. It's just like matching the 3D mapping to your facial structure. So
is that where they're trying to go? Like eventually no home button on all iPhones, you think?
That's
and just
that's
Face
the rumor.
ID.
That's the rumor. Yeah.
So like, can you just imagine like 5 years time when all old people that are just buying normal iPhones that are just using Face ID and you tell them that it's using their face, they're not going to like that. Old people don't like things like that.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, like, okay, put it this way: the iPhone SE exists for a reason.
Yeah,
it's the smaller model. My father-in-law, he was worrying that the phones are getting bigger and bigger. He wanted something that was still the size of the 3GS. And so he ended up just signing on to getting an SE, and he's loving it. And he doesn't even know that the home button can scan your thumb. Do you think? Like, I said, because he saw me doing my iPhone. He's like, oh, is that like the newfangled thing? I'm like, it's existed for years. And he doesn't use it.
Passcode or
he doesn't nothing.
Yeah.
So
I don't on this phone. Like I don't use anything.
No, but the thing is, like, yeah, there are a lot of older people that don't even bother with passcodes or anything, and so you could actually have Face ID just turned off, and you just like swipe up to open the phone. So
not going to make a difference.
Yeah. All right. No headphone jack.
Not great.
How are you feeling about that?
It's not the best. Like, it's just such an easy.
It's just to me, like, Apple took all the flack for it because they're the ones that like went out and did it, and so it's like Google have done it, and then to me it's like a company like Samsung are probably going to be one of the last to ditch it. Yeah, I reckon they're going to hold on to it as like a floating point.
They hold on to a few, like they held on to the removable battery for the longest, and still hold on to the like SD card. They've still got that now, so which doesn't work with Android very well.
Yeah, okay. Because for me, it was always, I mean, this one sort of headphone jack. It's not 7 or anything where they dropped it, but ever since using like AirPods, I just can't, like, I don't even think about the headphone jack. Yeah. Like I only ever have to plug it in to say, or at night time, because I don't want to use my AirPods in bed because I don't want to fall asleep and lose them or something.
Yeah. So I have like quite a few Bluetooth headphones already, but like at work, I listen to corded headphones. Okay. So I'd probably just, the one adapter that it comes with, I'll probably just like leave that at work, use that, and then at home, everywhere else, I'll just use Bluetooth. Yeah, It is like...
I mean, no, that is the thing. You can have like, or you could just, if it was really such a pain, you just go out and... Well, yeah, because they'd come with headphones that got USB-C headphones.
I don't think so.
Are they not?
I don't think they do.
Because it's like you buy an iPhone, it comes with... The earpods are lightning on the end, and it comes with the adapter if you want to use your 3.5mm.
I think it's
so. It's not like it's not like you're just dropping corded headphones altogether. It's just the jack that it's plugged
and into. Eventually, a few years' time, there'll be USB-C headphones everywhere, and it won't be that big a deal.
Yeah,
but it is a bit of a pain in the bum. Like, my wife's at our wedding. We had an old phone with the playlist for the music, and for some reason we didn't crank it right up in testing, but on the night it wouldn't go loud enough. But her iPhone would go louder, but it's a 7. We didn't have the adapter, pissy little adapter, so we had to listen to quiet music.
No, but I mean, I've had the same thing. Like my MacBook Pro here, all USB-C ports.
Yeah.
So, like, but I only ever have to use this for the microphone.
Yeah.
At work when we plug into HDMI on the screen, and aside from that, I'm actually it's been far less of a big deal ever made it out to be.
Yeah. Okay.
So to me, it's like, like USB-C is like it's great, but it's just there is going to be this kind of like awkward transition phase, and that's what's happening with the headphones now as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, colors. They're continuing their cheeky naming. Just black for both models. Clearly white for Pixel 2 only. Black and white for the XL2 only with the orange side button. People call the Panda phone.
Yeah.
Kinda blue, which I actually think is a better blue than the...
outrageous blue.
Than the blue before.
That was very blue, wasn't
it? Very blue. Yeah. Which, so Kinda blue is Pixel 2 only with the bright aqua side button. So it's kind of like you've got this weird... There's one color button on one side and a color button on the other side. And so with 3 colors for the regular size and 2 colors for the large size, to me, it's kind of like your iPhone 8 comes in 3 colors, your iPhone 10 comes in 2 colors.
Yeah.
Scenario. Which option do you like best?
All black.
All black, okay.
Yeah.
So you don't want the Panda phone? You don't want the orange button?
I normally go all black, like... Every phone
Once you go black.
Yep, you can't go back.
That's the second time I've said this on the podcast.
It's hard with the Panda phone because it's like I see why you want a black face because it just blends in with the screen better. It doesn't stand out so much.
Yeah.
But then you get the Panda phone, which I equally don't like.
Okay.
I don't like having that. I think I would almost rather the white front, even though it doesn't blend in as good with the
Okay.
screen, just because it looks better all.
Yeah, and that's
All
what I
one
was
colour.
really glad with the iPhone 10 is that both models are black fronts.
Yeah.
Which is really good because I didn't want to see, like, okay, imagine having like the notch shape in white, it would be so obvious.
Yeah.
And a lot of the dummy units had that, and like, I'm so glad it didn't come to fruition because like black is just, yeah, it's gonna disguise it sort of thing. Okay, so you're going the just
All
black.
black. Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
XL.
And capacities, they come in 64 and 128 gig,
Yep.
whereas iPhone 10 is 64 and 256.
64 and 256.
56, yeah.
Why are they going to do you like that? Why are
But
they going to
yeah,
miss that one out?
Yeah, but then there's no 256 for the Pixel, so
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't want 256.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they ditched the 32 because I think last year it was 32 and 128. I might be wrong, but
yeah,
it's just like 32 is probably not enough. When I'm paying that much for a $1,400 for a phone, why would you want 32 gig?
yeah.
But 128 is up there, and 64 to me is probably manageable, I think.
Yeah, see, I'm on 64 now, but that was purely because I was going to get 32 at the time, but there was no stock of it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need it now. I was like, 60, like,
that
like the Virgin website was crashing. I like went in the back end of the code, like found the right link, loaded it up, and like people were hitting the homepage and they're like, it's not working. I'm just like, and just like, boom, I was like, 64, I'm going to fucking take it. Like, yeah.
So that they might make my choice for me by out of stocking something when I
Yeah.
go on to buy it.
Whereas to me, trying to jump to a 256, you're in that like $1,800 mark.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it would have been good if they did have the middle tier option, but for me, I'm on 64. 64 is fine.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go 64. Now, the features to discuss. So, like happened with the last Pixel, it has the highest rated camera by DxOMark Mobile. Now, of course, this could be sort of more subjective versus actual, factual. Like, just
Real
because they
world.
say it's like that, some people still look at the comparisons and they're like, I think this one looks better. It's all about your taste. So, the Galaxy Note 8 and the iPhone 8 Plus had surpassed the Pixel with 94 rating of 94, whereas the Pixel 2 is now hit 98.
Yeah.
So they've sort of like got the AOK from DxOMark Mobile, and then obviously put that into their marketing before they've released the phone.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the iPhone 10 hasn't been rated yet, and I'm just kind of thinking, well, if you're at 98, does it go beyond 100?
It does.
It does?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I seen a video, someone doing a video on DxOMark,
Yeah.
and there was like the red camera
Yeah.
that was like scored 104 or something like
Okay,
that. So
yeah.
it does go.
Yeah. Okay, then you have AR stickers. So this is where Jared's shaking his head. Yep, sigh of exasperation. Versus Apple AR kit with Animoji. So you kind of got both two things that I guess some people could see as fun and some people could see as tacky. The tech behind both of them is cool. I think facial mapping is more interesting than like interacting with it's just kind of like,
I don't like either of them, but if I had to choose which one was going to be on my phone, it would be the Apple.
Yeah, to me, I'm like, I'll play around with Animoji, but that's not the reason I'm getting it. It's just like a fun kind of like way to demo.
It looked good. Like,
Yeah, but it's like, I'm not going to be,
my wife will like that kind of thing.
I'm not going to be sending Animoji to everyone, but I'm still keen to try it out. Now, what I do like is they got the Google Lens, so searching what you see. Now, Bixby was meant to do this with S8. I haven't actually seen... I mean, Bixby never actually... Did it actually has it come out yet? Is it still not out?
I'm not sure.
Oh. But you know about that, like Samsung's personal assistant called Bixby?
And
they gave it a dedicated button on the phone.
And no one wants it.
And then so now I think you can remap the button now because it's been delayed for so long.
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway. Just another thing that they'll keep in there. And the squeeze for assistant to squeeze your phone. what do you think the likelihood of accidental triggering is going to be? Like, they reckon that it's at a level where, and you can set it. You can program it.
I don't think you will. Like, I was in Harvey Norman and I played with the HTC U or 11.
Something.
They're the people that basically came up with it, and I had a little play with it. And the default setting that it was on, you have to give it a pretty like decent squeeze. Like, I don't think you would if you're squeezing your phone that hard when you're taking it out of your pocket, you're probably doing something wrong.
You're probably one of the people that bent your phone.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I'm not wanting to get too spec war with the camera info, but I'm just going to list some quick comparisons. This is, of course, subjective, different tastes. But the rear camera on the Pixel 2 has a single lens with 12.2 megapixel, 1.8 aperture, and dual focus pixels. The 8 Plus and the iPhone 10 have rear dual lens with 12 megapixel wide angle, 1.8 aperture, and telephoto at 2.4 aperture with focus pixels. Now, the front camera on both Pixel 2s is 8 megapixel, 2.4 aperture, and the 8 and the 10 have a 7 megapixel front facing with 2.2 aperture. So it's kind of like there's trade-offs in either area, but to me, it's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So I think it's like a better aperture for the iPhone, but one less megapixel, and then I don't know, you're kind of getting into like the nitty-gritty is getting a bit.
It's just numbers.
Yeah. Just numbers. But I think one thing to point out is the video recording on the rear camera. Pixel 2 models have 1080p at 120 frames per second. The iPhone 8 and iPhone 10 have 1080p at 240 frames per second. So you get that mad slow-mo. And the Pixel 2 has 4K at 30 frames per second, whereas the 8 and the 10, which is actually a good point to boast if you're talking like specs, is 4K at 60 frames per second, which is like not even really seen in cameras.
Yeah.
But to me, I love saying that, but I don't currently record 4K footage.
Yeah,
I don't have a 4K TV. I would get to the point where I do, but currently it uses a lot of data. Although the compression of the latest iOS is like half that size, but still large. So, Google Home Mini with the purchase, nice incentive, as you said. What do you think of the auto display songs? Like, it's kind of like an always on Shazam. Is it weird that it feels like it's always listening, or is
they reckon that it's not sending data anywhere? It's all locally done on the phone. Somehow.
Yeah.
As long as it's not using any if I could turn that off and save
I'm sure you would.
4%, 3% battery per day, I would turn that off.
Because, I mean, I hardly even use Shazam or, Shazam via Siri as it is anyway. I'm not really one of those people that's like, I'm in the club, but what's this song? It's like, I know, like, I'm a guy that gets an album I listen to start to finish. Like, I'm that sort of, I'm not like a playlists person, so.
I've probably used that. I ask Google, what's this song? Because it's just built into the assistant, probably once every 4 months or something.
Yeah, so, it's kind of like you remember it's there and you're like, hey, I can do this.
Well, plus I don't, who listens to radio really anymore?
Yeah, like traditional radio.
If I'm listening to something, I know what it is because I put it on.
Or if it is radio, it's like digital radio, whatever. And so the thing is, it comes with a USB-C charger. So it comes with set up for fast charging.
Yeah.
Whereas the 8 and the 10 do not. They come with your standard little
1.5 2 amp.
Whatever it is. But if you want fast charging for your 8 or your 10, you have to I'm fine because all I have to do is buy a cable because my MacBook Pro charger is USB-C. Yeah. So I just have to get the USB-C to Lightning. Yeah. And so I'm set up for it. Yeah. I can use that to fast charge my iPad Pro because that's capable for that.
Fast charging's awesome.
But of course there is there's that, and then there's currently this sort of now that iPhone's opened up to wireless inductive charging.
Yeah.
But that's at a certain level, and then that's going to be brought up to a faster level. But then of course there's their AirPower charging mat, which I'm assuming is going to be a faster level overall. It's 3 devices on one mat sort of thing. Okay, so actually, just while we're mentioning that, do you currently use wireless charging at all, or?
I have my Nexus 5 and 6 both had wireless charging, and I went like deep into the wireless. Like I had 3 different things positioned around the house.
Yeah.
It was good, but like sometimes it was a pain lining it up and things like
Okay.
that. But it's good, like saving the plug of your phone, not having to plug it in, unplug it, plug it in.
Yeah.
In that way, but
Have you seen that there's that, I think it's called Pi Charger or something, and it's like a cone-shaped thing, and I know it's a short range, but they're currently, I think there's a Kickstarter for it maybe, but it's a foot range of actual wireless charging.
No, I haven't seen. Do you have to have like their proprietary case?
No. Like,
it just works with Qi charging.
It works with Qi charging.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So, and there was also rumors a while ago of like Apple they did a patent thing pushing towards having Wi-Fi charging your phone.
Yeah.
Which would be insane.
I feel like we're all going to get cancer with
but
energy running through the air.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course there is always those fears, like with, Face ID. Like it's just going to be a thing that's going to need a lot of confidence in public. I mean, even to say people still hesitate to use their virtual assistants because they feel like talking to their
like
thing.
A door.
Yeah, exactly. And so
even in my own house, I get mocked.
Yeah, and so that,
okay, Google.
Yeah, and that's going to be that's a long running process. And then we haven't even, we're sort of they're dipping their toes in of like autonomous vehicles, which is like a huge having a vehicle drive. That's far beyond even people worrying about their face getting.
Yeah.
So. There you go. It's brought us to the end of the Google event. How do you feel about the presentation overall? Like, because the previous one, because they do the I/O outside, or they did their.
The one I watched last year was almost like very similar to the one this year.
Yeah, like an indoor.
Yeah,
I like the 3 sort of screens setup thing.
It was some of the like transitions in between the people talking felt a little bit awkward.
Have you watched the Samsung events?
No, I haven't. So I don't really know what to compare.
Samsung events.
Really?
Okay, I know that we're like sitting here essentially like we've got this common theme of just like not overly liking Samsung, right? But genuinely removing bias, their actual presentations on stage just seem far less polished.
Yeah.
Compared to particularly the latest Google ones. And then Apple's have always had that sort of standard.
Yeah, okay.
So...
No, it was a good event. I was more just wanting him to hurry up
and
get to the phone so I could order it. And then, I think it was done at 2:30 or something. Okay,
so that wraps up the event, and we're just going to finish this off with the idea of bendable displays. So it's a report from The Bell that Apple are working with LG and not Samsung on a bendable/foldable OLED panel. So currently Samsung does all the displays for iPhone 10 and that sort of stuff. I feel like Apple are leading up towards a thing where they'll just be doing their own displays. Like they do their own chips. Their chip technology is actually like, by a lot of analysts are saying they're like 2-3 years ahead of the competition. Like they do really well with their own chips. So I think they'd lead up towards that. But the shift towards LG, I think, is also with their intense rivalry with Samsung. Like they don't want to. How weird's that? It's like give away insider information.
Yeah.
And so it's said that Samsung are going to launch a flexible product. So not technically properly bendable, but I'm guessing flexible to some way that's never been seen before in 2018 or 2019. So pretty soon. And I feel like if this does happen, Apple wouldn't even push anything out in that realm until 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
Now, the difference between flexible and bendable is, we've currently seen, screens that kind of curve around. And I think bendable is like they're literally picturing like folding your phone in half.
Like the clamshell phones,
but without a hinge even. It's just... Can you see any actual use case for this sort of stuff?
No.
Like Nick and I did cover this a fair amount of episodes ago. I think that the only way that it could be useful is if you had, imagine you had like a large piece of paper that was like a screen. You could roll it up, and imagine like architect style, like roll it out on the thing,
cool.
draw it. That'd be cool because
Yeah.
it wouldn't be an iPad. It wouldn't be a
like
that would be cool in a way that it's still you can draw on it. Still be interactive.
You can't fold the actual chips, like components of the.
I remember seeing videos. I think it was LG that had done this. It was like a rollable screen, but all the stuff was at like a strip at the end. Yeah. So it's almost.
I can't see it being applicable really in a phone, but something like that, like a big rollout. Like iPad-y type, just a big thing to display.
Yeah.
Like your old school map. Just roll.
That's what I'm thinking. You got like the typical like architects on a construction site, and they got like the large piece of like blueprint paper or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like that, but it's actually that'd be cool. On an Apple level, I could see maybe them incorporating some sort of screen tech into maybe the watch bands, but that's about all I can think of. Where the actual watch itself would power it or something.
Yeah, like a watch that the whole thing's like a screen kind of.
Oh no, to me it would be like the watch is the watch, and then the band would have like you could have like status.
Yeah,
or something like that'd be cool. So you could just
similar,
so you could just look like that. You know. But to me, if you think about foldable phones, I hope that this idea just fails before it comes to fruition.
Yeah,
like it just seems. It seems like the ultimate tackiness, like gimmicky.
They've got to show me something that's really...
Prove it.
Yeah.
Prove yourself. And that brings us to the end of a very interesting episode of Apple Slice. If you'd like to follow us, it's on Instagram at Apple Slice Podcast, Twitter at Apple Slice AU, or Facebook.com/Apple Slice Podcast. And of course, you can search us in Apple Slice in your podcast player. I posted a picture a while ago of someone who had Apple Slice playing on their Android Auto, and that was Jared himself. So thank you for supplying that photographic evidence. Yeah. And ultimately, we'd love you to visit our website, appleslice.com.au. So thanks, Jared, for joining in. It was always a little bit of a risk getting someone from the Android space, but I knew that it wasn't going to be a troll session or anything.
No, I wasn't going to bash Apple.
Plus,
I like Apple's hardware. I do like it.
Cool.
But I'm too invested in Google.
Now you're getting the Google ecosystem.
Yeah.
And this is, we did a episode around this time last year of the Google event.
Yeah.
So we're happy to kind of touch on that.
Yeah.
And kind of like rib Samsung every now and then. So
there's one, even if we have some disagreements between us, there's one thing we can agree on, and it's that we don't like Samsung.
All right. Thanks for joining me, man. Anything else to say on this event?
No, I guess I'll maybe see you next year.
Yes.
Pixel 3.
Pixel 3, yeah. And they'll still be retaining large bezels for the...
They might get them even bigger, maybe.
Yeah, massive. Just
that's their feature.
More bezel than screen.
It's big.
With like 10 headphone jacks in it, yeah. All right, man. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully have you on again in the future.
Yep. See you later.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.